what is going on with Fujifilm these days? Also, I got a lamp. The chip shortage, along with a huge boost in social media attention for these cameras, has basically made these cameras impossible to find. Wherever you look, it is out of stock, back ordered. You just can't get one. And even cameras on the used market are going for more than what you would buy them for new. Fujifilm cameras that are 5, 6, 7 years old are still selling for exactly what they cost new, if not more. And it's not just like social media craze that's making these cameras more popular. It's the simple fact that these cameras make photography fun. The Fujifilm X100V is kind of the main camera that's been taken off on social media lately. TikToks with this camera have just been going nuts and has made it impossible to find. And if you don't know what the X100V is, it's a rangefinder style camera with a fixed, I believe 23mm f2 lens. So you can't swap lenses out at all, but it is such a compact setup that people can just throw it in their jacket pocket and just use it for day to day. So I think that's a main reason why it has become so popular. I challenge you to find an X100V in stock from a camera store that isn't priced over market. It's ridiculous. There was even a little while there where they were going for over $3,000 new, and I believe Fujifilm had to shut that down because they were just scalping people because they wanted these cameras so bad. So last year I bought my wife and I the Fujifilm X-E4s because it has the exact same sensor as the X100V and a very similar build or body style, but you can change the lenses. And I, for one, am a huge fan of swapping out lenses and trying out different lenses and different focal lengths. So I figured that was the perfect route for me to go down. And also, it was cheaper. I think what makes these cameras so popular comes down to two different things, which is the design of these cameras and the images that come out of them. And mainly this is just because they seem to have a camera for just about everyone, because how Fujifilm kind of works from what I've seen is they make a new sensor and then they put that in a ton of variety of different cameras. So they'll put it in a rangefinder and they'll put it in an SLR style, and they'll put it in more of a chunkier hybrid, and they put the same sensor in a ton of different cameras, and it lets you kind of pick and choose exactly what you want without having to skimp out on image quality. These cameras also have a very tactile feel. The X-E4s that I have are, the top and bottom plates are metal, and then all of the grippiness that you touch feels very premium and high quality. Nothing on this camera feels like it's gonna break, apart from maybe the little tiny joystick on the back. Not a huge fan of that, but it hasn't broken yet. And instead of just having to hunt through menus or look at your shutter speed and whatnot on a screen, they put pretty much all of these options as physical dials on the camera. So it's a much more tactile feel, and changing the shutter speed or changing your exposure compensation feels it just feels much more of an experience. They kind of fit the bill perfectly between an old film camera and a modern mirrorless camera, and they kind of met right in the middle, and it gives you that, it makes you slow down a little bit and think about your shot and your composure and your exposure. And then talking about film cameras, these cameras have what they call film simulations, which they are JPEG modes that emulate different types of film. And before I looked into Fujifilm, I thought this was a massive gimmick, to be honest. I was just this is just completely pointless. Why would I just want a JPEG straight out of camera? I'm gonna shoot raw and I'm gonna edit it myself and I'm gonna make it look exactly the way I want. And now with the X-E4s, I haven't touched a single raw file. I shoot raw plus JPEG, but I only ever use the JPEGs. I've never even opened up one of the raw files. So the JPEGs and the film simulations are just that good. And I think a huge reason that it is so fun is not only are the film simulations that are built into the camera, like Classic Chrome, Classic Negative, Astia, all of these they are so good, but Fujifilm lets you go in and customize every single setting so you can emulate whatever kind of film you want. And there's a ton of like awesome websites where people have made different film recipes, they call it. I think Fuji X Weekly is a huge one. That's where I get all of mine from. And you can emulate whatever kind of film you want and create some insanely cool looks that will really set your work apart from everyone else's. And it's just fun to mess around with. One of my personal favorites that I use all the time is the Portra 800 V2 film simulation recipe. And I use that thing constantly. It almost never gets switched to anything else, even though you can store like 5 to 7 custom film presets like straight into camera, which is amazing. Overall, I just think the main reason these cameras are so popular is that they are just so much fun to use, and the images that you can get out of them are absolutely amazing, especially if you get something like the X-E4 or the X100V where you can just store it in like a jacket pocket. And photography should be fun. Like, I shoot on Canon EOS R6s all day, every day. That's my job. And shooting with these cameras, you get amazing photos out of it. I've taken some of my favorite photos in my entire life with my EOS R6, but lately it feels more like work than it does fun. And photography should be fun unless it's just your job. But for most of us, it's also our hobby. And Fujifilm cameras really, they brought me back to wanting to do this as a hobby and not just doing it for work. And I thank them so much for that. This is the first camera I've ever owned where I've wanted to try like street style photography and just documenting like my day-to-day stuff. Like anytime I go on a trip, I only bring the X-E4, and I've taken photos that I never thought I would have taken. Like, I've taken photos of like trash cans, and I've taken photos of like hotel lobbies, and they're like some of my favorite photos that I've taken in recent years. Do I think these cameras are overhyped? No, I don't think they are. I think they deserve every bit of love that they are getting. Although, screw you if you're charging $3,000 for an X100V, because that is a like $1,400 to $1,500 camera. just like, come on. Well, that's gonna do it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing. It greatly helps this channel out, and I'll see you in the next one.